Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. The little kids.
with the kids, right? Where they put the marshmallow in front of them. Like,
we don't want to be the biggest roofing company in the Metroplex.
oh, thank you very much for your time. You know?
Yeah, and I want to disqualify them as our customer right there.
There are very few people who don't have that drive and that competition that get to. You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Aline, the co-author of the books Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the leading digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Hit those buttons, the follow button, like button, subscribe button. Give us a comment, leave us a review, do all of those things. Today, we're talking with David Poggensee, Texas Select, down in the DFW, Fort Worth area, more on the Fort Worth side. How are you today, man? Doing
well. Enjoying the heat, and now if it's only a little bit hotter, it'd be just perfect.
Just a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
That's It could probably get hotter down there. So, I'll stay away from that heat. I'm a little north on 35, so we're a little colder up here. So we keep it, 10, 20 degrees colder up here in Minnesota. So
I'll take the heat over the northern winters any day.
The northern winters can get brutal. That's for sure. So. Well, awesome, man. Good to have you on. I've known you for years.
Yes.
Part of Adam Bensman's Pitch Pro movement. All the stuff. That we've but never gotten to do this. So excited to do it, man. Love the company that you built and the way you built it and the philosophy that you have behind it and just kind of the organic way that it's grown for you. And so let's start off with how you got into roofing.
Yeah, well, it's like the old saying, you don't find roofing finds you. I was educated as a teacher and a high school football coach. Have done that. I did that for 16 years. But my background was in construction. My grandfather was a master carpenter. My uncle owned a commercial drywall company. Originally started off with as an architecture major, believe it or not, but then they started naming off all the math classes I had to take, and I was like, not really into the math. So I was like, well, what could I do when I don't have to take all that math? They were like, well, you can teach and coach. And I was playing college football, so I was like, well, I can continue being involved in football and get paid for it. And I was like, it seemed like a no-brainer. So I have that background, but then, like most teachers and coaches, you're not making a whole lot of money. So you're looking at ways to offset, and make some income in the summer, especially. And stumbled upon a friend that had got out of coaching and started doing roofing here in the Metroplex, and talked to him. And he was telling me, what kind of money he was making and how he was doing it and all that. And one thing led to another. And, my wife and I prayed about it a lot, coming up in the spring break, and just so happened that spring break we had a huge hailstorm down here. We're technically still doing work from that hailstorm, and just started looking at all the money that was coming in, and I was kind of disgruntled on the teaching side of it. Public education just isn't what it used to be. And a lot of people think it's the kids. It's not the kids. It's the adults. The adults in the education realm are just really hard to tolerate when you actually take pride in what you do. So made the decision to get out, and just really have never looked back. I worked for the first couple of years. I worked for a different company. And me and him are friends to this day. I kind of parted ways because he had a partner that I didn't really get along with, and so we parted ways. And I worked for a couple other companies, and just like every other business owner that was in sales, I got screwed out of some commissions, and I just said, this isn't really rocket science. I can do this on my own. And it really just started off as, I was going to be just a chuck and a truck and just do it on my own, but, do it the right way and not, deductibles. But I really didn't have any plans on growing at all. And that's kind of how it started.
Yeah. Just the opportunity presents itself, right? And you're like, oh man, this is, I think we talked about it. Like, I think you said you made like enough or had enough from the sales you made during that spring break. It was almost what you made in teaching for the year or something similar to that. I don't know if it was those exact numbers or not, but my goodness, it's crazy.
But yeah. How sad is that?
Right.
I made enough by between spring break and the end of school, which is about 2.5 months. I made more money than, and it's projected, I hadn't got paid all.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Hadn't collected it, but.
Yeah, but I was going to get paid more money for that 2.5 month period than I was going to get paid for an entire year of teaching and coaching.
After a decade of teaching and coaching.
Yeah, for sure. right. 10 years of experience.
After 10 years of experience, right? Like with 2 months of experience in the roofing industry, like it's a game changer for people.
It is.
It really, really is. And so,
and I couldn't tell you the difference between a starter strip and a 3-tub and a hip and ridge shingle and, or synthetic felt and 15-pound felt. I didn't know any of that stuff. And I'd still done that well. So
what do you think? I mean, of course, the opportunity of a big storm, like you guys were working that when you started out, like that, a lot of times there's a bit of luck in that, right? There's a bit of luck where, hey, just everybody needs help right now. I can help, right? So what other things do you think contributed to your success early on at those doors when you were out there, going and finding that business? And let's just say those first couple of months when you had no clue about roofing as a trade.
Yeah. You mean when I was working for the other
out of teaching, like those very beginning first couple of months where, the storm hit, you're out there working it, what were some of the things that you've looked back on and you're like, man, I was doing a couple of things right.
Yeah.
Naturally or whatever it was,
So, couple of things. As high school football is highly competitive here in Texas. That's why I wanted to come down here and coach here, is because if I'm going to coach high school football, I want to coach at the top and be the most competitive. The one thing that is not different than college football is that it's a tight-knit community. I'm one or two people away from knowing just about every coach in the state of Texas. And the one thing they have in common is they all have roofs. And like where I taught, there's 150 teachers. They all have roofs. And so the one thing I did right is start letting everybody know what I was doing. And one guy I follow on the internet says if they don't know you, they won't flow you. And so if they don't know what you do, they won't know to call when they have a problem. And so that's the one thing I did right is I let everybody know what I was doing. I had a big old long Facebook post and let them know what I was doing, where I was going, and how I could help them. And to me, that's the biggest thing, is building those relationships, and capitalizing on those relationships. Not only, just building and just knowing people, but also going up and say, hey, I think you might have a problem that I can help you with. And do that in an organic and genuine way where it doesn't sound salesman-y. It doesn't sound like you're giving them a pitch. You're genuinely helping people with a problem that they have.
Yeah. And that I think it's funny to me early on, almost entering a new profession or starting a new business. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we get, I don't know if we get scared to tell our friends and family, right?
Well, I think it's I think it's a fear of them judging you for, with me, it was because early on in education, they drill it into you. If you're in it for the money, then you're not going to be successful. Yeah. And they do a good job of brainwashing you. So when the apprehension of me getting out of coaching and teaching was, well, you're giving up on the kids. Mm-hmm. When that is far from it. I'm not giving up on kids. I'm just helping people in a different way. I'm still helping people. I'm just helping them with their problems that they have with their house. And for me, it was, I get to now be with my own kids. Because, the one thing, people don't realize high school football in Texas, I was working 7 days a week, 100 hours a week for 4 to 6 months. 4 months if we weren't very good, 6 months if we were good, and getting paid the same no matter what.
Yeah, that is definitely a commitment.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And so let's go back, because so you grew up playing football, you played college football.
Yep.
What were some of the lessons that you've taken from the game of football or from just athletics along the way that you've kind of integrated into Texas Select?
First and foremost is the work ethic. You cannot play college football or even high school football anywhere and not be dedicated and not have a good work ethic and be any kind of success at all. And so I think just the work ethic, there's a lot of people in roofing. I forget the numbers now, but I think there's 7,500 or 10,000 or maybe 50,000 roofers in the Metroplex. Depends on how much hail we have and how many people take their painter sign off the door of their truck and put a roofing sign on the door of their truck. And so, a lot of those don't work. I would say 90% of the people in roofing don't work as hard as we do. We work hard in training. We work hard educating customers. We work hard working with our suppliers and our manufacturers, make sure we're up to date. And so nobody is going to outwork us, period. Now, that being said, we have a certain type of customer, right? And I talk all the time, my sales staff, about our customers. Our customer is not every customer. Our customer is somebody that takes pride in what their house looks like. They want value instead of cheap, and they don't want to break the law. Because I'm the proudest thing I am is that in 8 years I have not eaten one deductible. Not even on my own house. I replaced my roof right before we sold it, and I paid my deductible. And so that's one thing I'm really proud of, is that we can build what we have right now and not eat deductibles. Now, I am not, and nor do I want to be the biggest roofing company in the Metroplex. I would rather build on quality than volume, and like you said earlier, we're going to organically grow. We're going to grow.
What I've noticed with you guys, like the way that, and then the team that you've built at your company it's been a very organic kind of growth that way too. It seems like. I want to go back though to work ethic and working hard,
right?
Because there's something about those words that I don't think get quantified a lot. Right? Like everyone says you got to work hard but you could work hard. You could think you're working hard and you're not putting in the effort that you really should be, or you could be working hard at the wrong thing. Right. There's that Kobe Bryant story about like he would always be in the gym, hours before practice, hours after practice. And the guy that came in to practice on time and left on time, he wouldn't pass the ball to because he didn't trust them. Yeah. Right. Like but that guy worked hard. He got to the NBA, right? Like he worked hard.
Yeah.
But there are levels to this working hard and work ethic.
Well, and then also what are you working on? Yeah, exactly. Are you working on stuff that's actually applicable to your goals and what you want to do? Like, my son plays offensive line. If he spent 8 hours a day working on catching the football, then he's working hard.
He's working hard.
But he's not working on anything he's ever going to use in a game.
That's right.
So, go back and taking, also goal setting,
Yes.
Are we working on our goals? Are we working on things that will bring us to our goals? And whether it's Your goal is monetary. It's time. It's because one of the big things that I don't think we talked about it, but every roofing coach or salesman that we have is a former football coach or a former coach.
I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we quantify it all the time. And what are we doing to get to our goals? Are these activities that are going to support us getting to our goals? If we're going to, and we don't door knock a whole lot, we door knock a little bit, usually around builds, but by and large, we don't door knock, So things that are going to support our goals are asking for referrals. Are we asking for referrals every time we meet with a customer? Are we knocking on and talking to the neighbors when we go for the initial inspection, when we go for the adjusters meeting, when we go for the contract meeting, day of build? There's 6 opportunities to ask for referrals to neighbors or to talk to neighbors at minimum. Are we doing those things to help us? Because I would much rather get a referral than a door knock.
Yes.
If we get a referral, we close at 88%. If we get it through a door knock, we're closing at 27%.
Yeah.
So I'm no mathematician and I'm no genius, but it tells me I probably want to spend more time on getting a referral than knocking doors.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing. How are you helping? Because let's kind of give the overview now. Your sales reps are called roofing coaches.
Yes, sir.
And there's a reason for that.
Yes.
Because they all have been coaches, right?
Well, and to take it a little bit further, we're coaching our customers on how the insurance process works. Hey, let me coach up.
It flows right through. The messaging flows right through from what their past experience is to how you approach the sales process.
Right.
So now you have a new roofing coach on your team. And we need to talk to them about goals, right? What are you starting with? What's the first goal you're setting with them or helping them set?
Well, Adam has a great worksheet that we fill out. And he does a great job of breaking it down. Okay, what's your income goal? How can we quantify? It needs to be stuff that we can measure and we can quantify. So, are they measurable? Are they attainable? And then do you have a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal? What's that? So we start with the financial aspect and we try to keep it realistic, just depending on what's going on too. If we've had a big hailstorm, the numbers are going to obviously probably double or maybe even triple. But we take it like last year we had no hail. First time in my 8 years that we had 0 hail in the entire area. Well, all my sales guys still made over $120,000 because they were doing the activities that made them do that. And so what we start with is what's your income goal, right? I want to make $120,000, $150,000. And if they're making that, if their goal is under that, I tell them this is not for you. If your goal is to make under that, then you need to stick with coaching because you're not ready to put in the effort that's going to take to get to that. So if it's $120,000 or more, and most of them are, because the reason they're getting out of coaching is not because they don't love coaching, it's because they're tired of putting up with the other stuff. Yeah. And it just becomes this cost, comparison analysis. So if it's $120,000 or more, what activities do we need to do to bring you to $120,000? Well, we need to get this many jobs. Well, what does that translate? Well, it's 1.3 jobs per week. Which is only 57 or 58 jobs a year. And the way we do it, if you're getting 58 jobs a year, you're probably making close to 150, 160. Because we supplement, we maximize the claim and we do it right. And so from there, let's break it down by the hour and different activities that break it down. Well, how many doors do I need to knock? How many direct mailers do I need to go? How many referrals do I need? How many, we break it down to hey, I need to do this per hour, right? I need to spend this hour doing this activity. And we also have, I like the way Adam does it also about getting with realtors. We deal a lot with realtors, insurance agents, plumbing companies, lawn care companies, whoever can give you more than one lead, we kind of treat with kid gloves, and we take them out, and we make sure that they know how it's beneficial to work with us over other companies. I have one realtor I work with. They give me about $500,000 worth of business a year.
Yeah.
Now, I work for that because realtors will keep you busy doing a lot of activities that have nothing to do with income producing, but it all pays off in the end, right? And so what we do after that is we break it down by day. Okay, this is what we needed to be doing.
That hard work and that work ethic, you can break that down and understand what it really is. But I think a lot of people don't.
Right.
They may throw out that $120,000, $150,000 goal as a rep or as an owner or whatever it is, right? They throw out their income goal, but they don't work it back into those direct, specific activities that need to be done on a day-to-day basis, consistently, day in, day out, every day, month after month, that if you do these, that is it's inevitable that you get to that goal, right? Like
well, and I'm not a big believer of just activity for activity's sake.
No.
So it's got to be specified activities in a specified time period. And the other thing I like about coaches, and most of the coaches are former athletes as well to some degree, the idea of delayed gratification, right? What I do today isn't going to pay off tomorrow, probably. It's going to pay off in a week, a month, sometimes a year. I've had customers all the time, and it happens all the time. And everybody who's been in this longer than a year, a customer called me from 6 months ago. They're ready to move forward.
That's right. We
don't know what's going on in their lives. They might have had to use that money for something else. They might have been on vacation. They might have had a death in the family. We don't know, but it's the activity that you did 6 months prior that led to them calling you back.
That's a big one. I've had for our agency, I've had people come in and schedule calls with me. They're like, I've been watching you for 3 years.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Right. 3 years. I've been watching your stuff. I've been paying attention. Like I've known all this stuff for 3 years, and now I'm ready to go. Right. Yeah. Like, and the effort that we put in on a day-to-day basis, you don't know when the reward is coming. That delayed gratification, the marshmallow test. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
No.
Oh yeah. With the little kids.
With the kids, right? Where they put the marshmallow in front of them, like that. That is that to me. Just that's it right there. It's that simple. And there are so many of us that just eat that marshmallow. They eat the first marshmallow, and they never get to the second one. They're always looking for the next one. I see this a lot in reps that are really good at the door.
Right.
I'll tell you, like if they're really good at the door, they're good at the next door and the next door and the next door. So a lot of times they won't take the time to nurture that relationship to get to those referrals.
Right.
Where it seems like you guys are saying, hey, look, we may be able to go door to door, but our closing rate is this. If we get the referral, it's 3 times, 4 times over 3 times the closing rate.
Right.
So let's go after those first. Make sure we don't leave any of that on the table. When we've run out of those, now we can move on to the next door and the next door. And one thing I do think about there too, in the next door, there's nothing wrong with going to the next door,
right? Because
that is another 6 opportunities to generate a referral, right? So even though you're closing at, what'd you say, 27, 28% on those, now that creates 6 more opportunities.
Exactly.
So when, that's how you build that pipeline.
Right. And that's what I see a lot is people quitting before their pipeline starts to pay off. They do a lot of work up front, and then I can't even tell you how many reps. And I try to hire other than coaches, especially like the younger guys or girls. I've had a couple women too.
Yep.
Come in and they'll work hard for a month or so, and then they don't see that immediate tangible result, and they give up and they move on to something else. And then I have to close out the 4 or 5 jobs that end up happening in the next month. you know?
Do you think you would have seen it, that first storm that you worked, if you didn't get inserted into that storm?
It would have been
It would have been a different, right? Like,
because Jason, the first guy I worked for, I came in and he was like, "Man, you're going to make 300 grand this year," and da 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 da. And he's a former used car salesman, so I was taking it at face value, and he was like Nostradamus, because that's about how much I made that first year.
Yeah.
It just really, it's until you're in it, especially when you're in a W-2 employee and in a profession like teaching, where you get paid just enough to be comfortable.
Right.
It's hard to make that transition from, hey, I'm going to get paid this month no matter what happens, and I'm going to get paid next month no matter what happens, to jump out on that 1099, world of uncertainty. And it's hard. It's hard to get that through your mind, especially when they've been drilling it in your head. You're going to be poor. You're going to be poor. No, not poor, but you're not going to be rich if you're in this for the wrong. And they get all that in your head, and they get you away from being able to value yourself as a work commodity. Every person that I've known that was a good coach and or teacher that has gotten out has made at least double what they were making teaching, if not triple. I got two specific friends that I know of. One works for ABC, and within 3 years, he went from salesman to store manager. Another one works for Universal Forest Products. Within 4 years, he's like the national sales vice president now, which is Universal Forest Products is like one of the largest manufacturers of wood and suppliers of wood in the nation. So they applied that same work ethic towards the private sector and exponentially grew their talent or their
because there is no incentive for that work ethic in the public sector, right?
Yeah,
like it's
in the school district, or
it's just it's okay. Now you have this many years in, you get this pay raise. Now you go and get a master's or whatever. Now we'll give you get this pay raise. It has nothing to do with that, with the actual outcome of what you're producing. But boy, you take that same thing and move it over.
Oh yeah, reward benefit is exponential. I went and got my master's while I was teaching. You know how much my raise was for getting a master's degree? $1,000 a year. They gave me $1,000 a year as a thanks for going to get your master's. We appreciate you. Yeah. I won't even step out of my truck for $1,000 now.
No, $1,000 a year is crazy. Like that's it. That doesn't even make sense. But that's built into the culture, right? Like like you were saying, it's built into go and do this, and then that helps you here, and it's crazy. But so now going in, we're goal setting, but then working back into those individual activities. Let's talk about building relationships. Starting with the homeowner. Let's say it was a cold knock.
Right.
Storm comes through, you're banging doors, you're developing the relationship with the homeowner, but your goal is, what is your goal? Referrals per new customer or something like that, if I could put it that way.
So first thing we do is establish that rapport. I'm gonna connect with them on some kind of level, and they're gonna know, like, and trust me by the time we're done. Prime example, and I don't go on many sales calls anymore, so I have a COO that kind of does on that, but I had a new guy and he wasn't available, so I went with him on the sales call. I spent 20 minutes just talking to him before we ever talked about roofing or what their problem was or anything. Turns out, he's an engineer. My oldest son's in engineering school. We started talking about they used to live in California and I used to live in California. I mean, you just don't know. You got to ask. I like the way Adam puts it. You got to ask open-ended questions and listen for the response. God gave you 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. You know, a lot of salesmen get in there and they don't listen, and they're not able to adjust. You know, so when I'm asking them questions, I'm getting clues of their values, what they're looking for, and how I can help them. Right. And so don't just go in there. Yes, I'm talking to them and establish that rapport, but I'm also asking questions that'll get me to the bottom line of how can I tailor this solution for your problem.
Listening is the key. Questions will get you to a place that you've never seen before. Like the right questions, right? Like if you ask the right questions and listen, boy, that's just valuable information. And it kind of sounds, it sounds a little sinister when you say it that way, right? It sounds a little sinister when you say it that way, but it really is listening to understand the needs and the issues that the customer is facing.
Right. For example, you know, we sell a lot of Class 4 roofs down here because people get tired of paying for the roofs.
Yeah.
When we're talking to a customer, hey, are you going to be in the house for the next 3 years? Well, no, we're planning on moving. Okay, well, normally we talk about a Class 4 upgrade, but since you're moving, it usually takes 2 to 3 years for it to pay for itself because there is a cost with that. But since you're moving, we probably need to steer away from that because you won't get that back on when you sell your house. You know, prime example, you know, of that. Just asking questions, you know, and listening to what the answers are. You might be talking about, or, you know, hey, is paying for your deductible a problem? You know, we have this insurance claim, you have this $35,000 problem. The good thing is you only have to pay $3,000 of that. You know, have you saved up that money, or how are you going to pay for it? You can pay for a check, credit card? Do you need a financing option? You know, how do you plan on taking care of that? Well, I thought you could eat it. Well, no, we can't. House Bill 2102, and that's when we start talking about the legalities of it. Right. So, you know, asking those questions is, you know, they might be listening to your pitch, but they're thinking, how am I going to pay this $3,000? You know, well, we have these financing options that you can, and okay, well, yeah, well, let's do that. So, you know, just listening to what they're, you know, if they're having trouble paying their water bill, they're not going to be able to pay $3,000 for their deductible.
That's right. That's right.
But that goes back to that. That probably is not our customer.
That's probably not your customer. That's a great point, right? In those questions, you're learning if they're your customer.
Right.
Hey, David, now I'm gonna have 12 other companies come out, and we're getting the bid, and it's going to be the lowest, and the one that will eat my deductible, that's who I'm going with. Oh, thank you very much for your time. You know?
Yeah, and I want to disqualify them as our customer right there. So this is what I talk to my guys about all the time, is the one thing you cannot get back is time.
That's right.
Why am I going to waste my valuable time working towards my goals if your goal isn't aligned with mine? If your goal is to get the cheapest roof and the lowest bid, and somebody's going to eat your deductible, why am I going to spend time with you?
Yeah.
And we're going to say it in a nice way. Well, it doesn't seem like our values are going to align here. And by the way, I'm probably the most expensive roofer in the Metroplex. The good news is your insurance company pays for me. And the good news is you only have to pay your deductible for the most expensive roofer in the Metroplex. Now, if you're going to compare, do you want the most expensive or do you want the cheapest that's going to cut corners? And what I tell them all the time is they're going to make their money one way or another. Either you're going to know how they're going to make their money, or they're going to make it behind your back. And they're either going to commit insurance fraud with you knowing or not knowing.
For sure.
Yeah. So
it's good to have those conversations, but it's in building that trust up front that allows you to be honest in those conversations, and they believe you. Right? That they're like, oh yeah, David's telling me the truth. I can see that, right? That he's a straightforward guy. He's coaching us through this process. He's helping us with all these things. How along the way, you came from the sales side, worked the sales side, started as a business. what was your original, you had said it originally you were going to be chucking a truck. Like you were just you just wanted to, what was that original thought process of what your business was going to look like?
I was going to optimize on free time. I had two kids that were in, one was in junior high, about to go to high school, and then the other one was in elementary school. I wanted more time to spend with them and my wife. Pay for vacations. We don't live a lavish lifestyle, but we do go on a lot of cool vacations. And that was it. I was going to optimize it for that. And then, I think we talked about this before, that first year I went on vacation to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I'm posting on Facebook, not any ulterior motives or anything like that. I'm just posting pictures on Facebook. And then I get back and three of my friends call me. It's like, how can you go to Hawaii? How could you afford that? Because that's just, when you're coaching and teaching, that's just a pipe dream. You might have to save up for 8 to 10 years to go on a trip to Hawaii. But we went there on a whim and stayed for 9 or 10 days. And so that's how I got my first 3 employees. Were like, just my friends calling me and go, what are you doing? Are you selling drugs? I was like, no, it's this roofing deal, man. It can be very lucrative if you work it right. And we can also help people at the same time,
Yeah. And so then it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm going to hire some people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess I better get some training, and I guess I better get some CRM. I better get a CRM and not write it down on paper. So yeah, that's when we transitioned from, it was just me, and I had an office manager that took care of all the books and stuff. She was a bookkeeper. Yep. And then we transitioned to 2 salesmen and a production manager. And then, I've fluctuated because I do have a high standard for my salespeople, for my roofing coaches. And so I've tried to bring outside people in and try to indoctrinate them into that culture. And for the most part, it just hasn't worked out. And I put it 100% on me. But what it does show me, just like I have a customer that I deal with, I also have a salesperson that does best in our culture. And they're normally, 40 to 55, 60 years old, or not 60, but 40 to 55 years old. And we do a great job at establishing relationships. We do a great job of coaching our customers through the process. And we do a really, really good job on building quality. So we don't cut corners. The basic roof I put on, I haven't put a 3-tab on. I put 1 3-tab on in my entire time I've owned my company. I started my company, and it was the worst problem child of all the roofs that I put on. So I just said, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, there's something to that. So here's what's funny to me, just something that I've been talking about recently, and you did naturally. So like I talk about, marketing a lot, and in marketing, I talk about there's 4 places that you want to market to, right? Everyone thinks about marketing as getting a new customer.
Right.
But that's one part of marketing. The second part of marketing is to your existing customer base, get those referrals, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
Your first marketing effort was that post on Facebook about your change in career, right? That was marketing, right? You were saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. That it's just the promotion of your services, right?
Exactly.
Then you're marketing to your referrals. You're building your referrals. You guys have focused on that. Then unknowingly, you're in Hawaii posting some pictures on your Facebook page, and you didn't know, but you were marketing for future employees, which is something that I always talk about, is marketing to future employees by showing those things. And now that you have a team and a team culture, you're also marketing to them to keep them around, right? And part of that is what you were saying, is the training aspect and building them up and helping them create better opportunities in their lives and things like that. By doing that, you're marketing to them. That's marketing.
Exactly.
Right. And so this it's awesome to see those things in action, even if they weren't intentional, right? And then the other part of it, there's two things that you've talked about. One is our customer, and then it's our team member, right? Is the other part of it. Man, it's hard, especially early on in a business, to not bend a little bit on those things.
Oh yeah.
For check.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's what when I got back to our 1099s or our salesmen, when I tried to hire those outside people or people that didn't have teaching coaching backgrounds, that was the fault was mine because I was holding them to the expectation and the standard that we had already set when they do not have that background. Right. So that was me thinking that everybody had this work ethic and everybody was goal driven and it just doesn't, and I had to think back to my coaching days when, you would have that kid on the team. We called him a team player. He wasn't ever going to start. He wasn't going to be good. He wasn't going to go to college, but he just loved being part of the team. Well, we needed to bring him into that atmosphere and that culture, and we need to spend more time on him than we did the other guys that were, getting rewarded on Friday nights. And so, that was, to thy own self be true is kind of our motto. And I give my wife credit. She's the one after, pounding my head against the desk, with these other people is like, you can only hire coaches. That's the only people that are going to fit your culture is former coaches.
Is that, and it's what you've talked about already, but it's that they have certain traits and things that they've already built, right? That the competitive nature, the work ethic, like those are things that it's easy to find. It's easy to find in them.
Exactly.
They've already proven that they've done it because they wouldn't be you wouldn't be in athletic coaching if you didn't go through that, right? Like there are very few people who don't have that drive and that competition that get to a level that coach right now.
So the hardest thing, and when I always thought about sales, I always thought about, used car sales and how high pressure it is. And that is not how we sell. We are probably the lowest pressure sales team in America. So we build relationships and we educate. And then the deal takes care of itself. If it's a fit for us and it's a fit for them, it takes care of itself. But what coaches and teachers do, if you think about it, the kids, the teenagers, they have the biggest BS meter there is in the entire world. They can smell BS from a mile away. And if you can be a successful teacher and coach with those teenagers, the adults are easy, right? So if you learn how to build a relationship with teenagers and get them to do what they should be doing and what you want them to do, then trying to get an adult to do that is easy from there.
Persuading a teenager is hard.
Let's get out there in 105-degree heat, and we're going to sweat for 4 or 5 hours, and we're going to do this for 4 weeks until our first game, and then maybe we might win. Try to get a teenager to do that.
And so this kind of makes me like I've heard this along the way through the years in business, and that's recruiting versus hiring, right? So when you have a recruiting mindset, you have that avatar picked out. You have you kind of know who you're looking for, right? And then you go out and you find those people and you put your offer, out to them.
Right.
Not everyone's going to take it, but you're kind of, you're going after, right? Where in hiring, a lot of times you're making good guesses and then you're filtering on the firing side.
Yes.
Right?
Slow to hire, quick to fire, right?
That's right. And that works too, but it's a different strategy.
Right.
I've heard this told to me a few times, and it made me think of it when you were talking about this is, find a company that has a great management training, like a Fortune 500 company that they just have a really, great management training. That could be someone that hire from there and make them a manager, right? Bring in someone from a company that trains exceptional customer service, right? Like bring them in for your, as your CSRs and your your office team and find these companies.
If you think about it, a coach fills all those criteria.
Yeah.
Because you think if you mess something on the house, you think somebody's ticked off about you messing something up on their house. Try messing something up with their kid.
Try not playing their kid on Saturday, right?
Yeah. Or not giving an opportunity, or why isn't Johnny a Division I athlete? Well, man, he's 5'5".
Boy, that's conflict resolution that they. So for business owners that are, kind of to bring it to the audience, is like, look for these things. It could be coaches and teachers, military members and veterans are also people that a lot of times they get trained on that discipline of doing the right thing every day. There's a lot of occupations and backgrounds that you can go and search for that are outside of roofing.
Right. Well, and now don't be hiring all my teachers and football coaches. Those are my niche. That's my niche right there. But I think thinking outside, so there's a lot of gurus that'll tell you, go hire waiters and go hire but everybody overlooks the white collar, underpaid professional. There are plenty of people out there that are really underpaid for their value that are in white collar jobs. I think of, managers at a Jiffy Lube, or something like that. You can make, my number one sales guy 2 years ago made a little over $300,000. And I looked up the average salary of a dentist. He made more than a dentist who's got a, DDS. Right. And he's got a bachelor's degree. Yeah. So where else can you make that kind of money doing something every day that, a lot of people making more money than a lot of people have a lot better education, or a lot more education, I should say.
More education. I've talked to a couple of owners now that have actually gone into some professional career, targeted some, or they've attracted some professional career people that were in finance and other things that they kind of tapped out at that low 6-figure mark, and they're like, they don't like the office anymore, hate being in the office all day, like would rather have a little bit more freedom in their time, and man, there's a lot of good people out there, right?
I could go back and teach, and I could go back and coach for sure. I loved all of that. But I could not be in a classroom for 5 to 6 hours a day, just confined to that little space anymore. Once you let the animal out of the cage, back up.
No going back, right?
Yeah, it's that really gives me like the bejeebers.
So with your background and your focus and intention on being a high school coach, there's something. There's something beyond the money for sure that made you do that, right? So how do you scratch that itch now as a business owner?
So now so I used to get my, competitive juices flowing on Friday nights. We win or lose. It's the whole strategy game. And, sometimes you have the Jimmies and Joes and sometimes you don't. But now it's more about getting Google reviews, 5-star Google reviews, getting referrals. To me, a referral is the best compliment you can get, because, hey, you did such a great job for me. I'm going to give you my friend's number or my sister's number or my cousin's number. Please call and help them like you did me. So those are the things that I search for. And then the other thing is knowing that I'm helping other people in my company achieve their goals. That's my goal. And for me personally, it's about personal time, vacations, That's why I've appointed a COO now, so I can step back a little bit from the residential side and I can focus more on commercial because we're doing a lot more commercial now.
Yep.
And I also have free time to go see my son who plays college football and go on vacations and do those type of things that I did not have the money or the time for when I was coaching.
What do you think, we kind of talked about the transition, right? It was like, hey, I'm going to just go and do this myself, make a good living, take the family on vacation, spend more time with the kids.
Yep.
Then people were like, hey, no, you're not going to do that. You're gonna give us a job. You're gonna give us a job, and we're gonna do this thing.
Yeah.
But there was the point where that's the inception of the business ownership. But now it seems like you've gotten even further down the path of business ownership, because there's that saying that if until you could go to a beach in Florida for a month and turn your phone off, if you come back and you still have a business, you're a business owner, right?
Right.
So what things have you done along the way that were like, these were some of the best decisions I made to turn this into a business and get myself out of being self-employed?
Right. The biggest thing was realizing my own goals and limitations. You get when it was about 2 to 3 years and I started getting some people wanting to come on, and I got this idea of, hey, we're going to be we're going to have 5 or 6 locations, and I'm going to have regional directors and all that stuff. I'm not built for that. I have a little bit too much want to have my fingers in everything. And I had too much control issues, or I had. I'm getting better.
Yep.
But I couldn't have 5 locations and not be at a location a day. I would have to spend all my time going through those locations. And so realizing that and being that self-aware, I think for me is the biggest demarcation line as growth as an owner is like, hey, I don't want to have 150 sales reps. I don't want to have, because I want to be able to control the quality. And if I have 150 sales rep 149 is going to do something that's going to cost us our reputation, and I just don't want to be that. I want to have more control over what I do. I'd rather be smaller and more profitable. And I tell my guys this all the time. Would you rather do 75 jobs a year and make $150,000 a year, or would you rather do 300 jobs a year and make $150,000? And they're like, I'll take the 75. I'll do that. Less work for more money. But it's not really about doing less work. It's about providing more quality, right? I think at 75 jobs a year, you can provide a really good quality of service to that customer and not have it wane at all. But if you're doing 150 jobs a year, it just through not having enough time. You just don't have enough time to do that. And then, so that was the biggest thing, I think, in the growth, was realizing really what I wanted and how I wanted to go. Now, if we organically come to 150, salesmen, and we can still control the quality, and we can, I could be 10 times bigger than what I am now if I went out and employed what some roofing companies do, is they'll just hire anybody. Hey, they're 1099. They don't really cost me anything, a seat in my CRM or whatever, and some training, and then they go get 3 jobs and then they don't last. And then, no, I provide a lot of training, a lot of time to the people that I bring on as salespeople. And I want that investment to pay off. I'd rather hire 10 guys, train them right, and have them be productive than hire 100 guys and only have 10 work out. Because those other 90 are just going to be a headache.
They will.
Yeah.
What helped you? Like, was there a certain point of reflection or something like that? Did you pray on it? Did you get to a point where you were like, hey, how did you personally figure that out? Like, get to that level? And one of the things I think about, are just a little tangent, it seems like one of the greatest traits of a business owner is self-awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
I think that's really the line where, when you are self-aware of what your limitations are, is really when you cross the line from working in the business as opposed to working on the business. Like when I realized that, and two things, I pray a lot. I have a real high connection with my higher power, and I married a woman that is a lot smarter than I am. And so, she saw my frustrations and all that stuff. She's like, well, why do you keep putting yourself through this? Why do you keep doing that? What's the goal? And I was like, no, you're right. We live a lifestyle that is very comfortable. Yep. I don't need a yacht. During part of that, I was like, went to the Bahamas for a vacation, and down there where we stayed at, what's the name of that place? The real nice hotel, like resort area, and they have a area over there where they have all the yachts parked. And I was like, man, I want to have this 150-foot yacht. That would be awesome. And I started talking about it for 6 months. I was like, I want that yacht. I want to get to where I can have the yacht. And my wife goes, why do you want the yacht? Me and your oldest son get seasick all the time. Why do you want to have the yacht? I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. And if I need to do that, I can just go rent it or whatever.
Go rent it, right? Like, go rent
it. I don't have a headache. And I was like,
that's right. But it's funny where we go with these things, right? Like I don't know if you call them ambitions or where those sparks come from, because you need those sparks to move forward, right? You do need them. You do need that. I want that, or I want to be able to do that, or you need that to keep up the work ethic, right? Yeah. To keep. And
let's be real, I live in North Texas. There's not a whole lot of calls for yachts in North Texas. No. So, but yeah, I think even as business owners, we need goals, and we need to break it down into, okay, what is going to get me to achieve that goal? Whether it's a monetary goal, or it's a time with family, or maybe I want to buy this certain house, or whatever it is. We even as business owners need to, okay, well, what do I need to do to achieve that? If I want time off, well, then I need to appoint a COO, right? If I want to really concentrate on commercial roofing, then I need somebody to really take the reins on the residential side, because I spend so much time training and problem solving and doing all that stuff over here. I don't have the time to spend that I need to on the commercial roofing side. So it's things like that I think, as an owner, you can't get away from setting goals and breaking it down to daily activities. Okay, well, how many salesmen do I need so I can have a COO, pay for that COO salary? Well, I need 7 salesmen. Okay, well, how do I get those 7 salesmen? Well, I need to talk to this many people, and all that stuff as well.
It's the same process as breaking down how many doors you need to knock to get that next customer, right?
For sure.
Like everything comes down to that, to those numbers.
Right. And if I'm going to hire salesmen, I need $4 million producers, or I need 8 $500,000 producers, or I need $2 million producers and 6 $500,000 producers. You can even break it down like that.
For sure. For sure. What do you think the greatest insight is that you've come to realize along the way in helping you find success with your roofing business?
I think one, realizing, because when you first start off, you want to roof every house in the Metroplex. That's my goal. But realizing that, one, we have a customer, we have a customer base. For us, it's upper middle class neighborhoods. We don't do a lot of work with smaller houses. It's not that we won't, but we're just not going to market and put our efforts towards that because of the value that we bring. I think that's the biggest part. And then becoming self-aware of what my real goals are with the company. And I think everybody in the company would have the same idea or goal is, we don't want to be the biggest roofing company in the Metroplex. We don't want that. We just want the recognition and the peace of mind that we do good quality work. We're going to provide you with a good quality product, and we're going to teach you how the process goes. And we're going to make you feel good about the process. I'm going to make you feel good about paying that deductible. It's peace of mind. When you pay that deductible, it's peace of mind. I'm not getting robbed. I'm not getting taken. I'm getting a good quality product with a good company that's going to be around. Because that's the part people don't understand. When somebody's eating your deductible, it's coming from somewhere, and they're probably not going to be around. And if, like, we give a 7-year workmanship warranty.
Yeah.
If I'm not around in 7 years, that workmanship warranty doesn't have the weight that it does now. So.
That's awesome, man. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more revenue through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com to get a copy of the book, The Best Known Roofer. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. Thanks for listening.